I never thought I'd end up working at Shady Pines Nursing Home. That wasn't the plan. The plan was law school, corner office, suits that cost more than my rent. But life has a way of laughing at your plans, doesn't it? So there I was, 32 years old, working the evening shift as an orderly, helping elderly residents to the bathroom and pretending my degree in political science meant something. The job wasn't terrible. The residents were sweet, mostly. Mrs. Patterson always wanted to show me photos of her cats from 1987. Mr. Hernandez told the same story about meeting his wife at a USO dance every single night, and every night I listened like it was the first time. That's the thing about this work. You learn that sometimes people just need to be heard, to be seen, to matter to someone even for 5 minutes. I'd been there about 3 months when he started. I was in the break room microwaving leftover pizza that had seen better days when Sandra from HR mentioned they'd hired a new orderly for the night shift. "Young guy," she said, "seems nice, starts tonight." I didn't think much of it. People came and went in this job. The pay was terrible, the work was hard, and most people treated it like a stepping stone to something better. I certainly did. But then I saw him. It was shift change, that chaotic half hour when the evening crew overlaps with the night team. I was updating charts at the nurses' station when I felt it, that strange prickle at the back of your neck when someone's watching you. I looked up, and there he was. He stood by the medication cart talking to one of the nurses, but his eyes were on me. Dark eyes that seemed to look right through you. He had this way of standing, casual but somehow intentional, like every movement was considered. His hair was a mess of dark curls that looked like he'd been running his hands through it, and there was something about his face that made my chest tight. He reminded me of someone I'd spent years trying to forget. The nurse he was talking to gestured in my direction, and he started walking over. My heart was doing this stupid thing where it couldn't decide on a rhythm. He moved with this easy confidence, and when he got close enough, he smiled. It was a small smile, uncertain at the edges, but it transformed his entire face. "Hey," he said. His voice was low, warm like honey. "You're Marcus, right? Sandra said you'd be the one to show me the ropes." I managed to nod, though my brain was still trying to process why this stranger felt so familiar. Yeah, that's me." He extended his hand. "I'm James Rivera." Rivera. The name hit me like a physical thing. I took his hand automatically, feeling the warmth of his palm against mine, and my mind was racing backward through years of memory. Rivera. I'd known a Rivera once. Danny Rivera. We'd been inseparable in high school, best friends from freshman year until, "You okay?" James was looking at me with concern now, and I realized I'd been holding his hand too long, staring at him like I'd seen a ghost. I dropped his hand quickly. "Sorry, yeah, just long day. Let me show you where we keep the supplies." I led him through the facility, explaining procedures and protocols, but part of my brain was stuck on that name, on the shape of his jaw that reminded me of lazy afternoons in Danny's backyard. On the way, his eyes crinkled when he smiled, just like, "So how long have you been working here?" James asked as we checked on Mrs. Chen in room 214. 3 months. It's temporary." I don't know why I felt the need to explain that. "I'm figuring some things out." "Aren't we all?" he said, and there was something in his voice that made me look at him more carefully. He wasn't just making small talk. He meant it. Over the next few weeks, I found myself looking forward to that half-hour overlap between our shifts. James would arrive 15 minutes early, and I'd stay 15 minutes late, and we'd talk. About the residents at first. About Mrs. Patterson's cats and Mr. Hernandez's war stories. But then about other things. Music, books, the way the city looked at 3 in the morning when he left work. He had this way of listening that made you want to tell him everything. He'd lean against the counter, his full attention on you, and you felt like the only person in the world. I found myself sharing things I hadn't told anyone, about my failed LSAT scores, about my dad's disappointment when I didn't follow him into the family business, about feeling lost at 32, like I'd taken a wrong turn somewhere and couldn't find my way back. "I don't think you're lost," James said one evening. We were in the supply closet, restocking adult diapers. Glamorous work. "I think maybe you're just taking the long way around." "The long way to what?" He shrugged, and his shoulder brushed against mine in the tight space. "To wherever you're supposed to be." I could smell his cologne, something clean and cedar-like. We were standing too close, and I should have stepped back, but I didn't. "What about you? What's your long way look like?" Something flickered across his face, gone too quickly to identify. "I'm looking for something," he said quietly, "or maybe someone. I'm not sure yet." Before I could ask what he meant, his phone buzzed. He checked it, and that uncertain smile appeared again. "My mom. She worries when I work nights." "That's sweet," I said, and meant it. "She's been through a lot." He slipped the phone back in his pocket. "Lost my dad when I was a kid. Raised me and my brother on her own. She's the strongest person I know." Brother. The word stuck in my mind. "You have a brother?" "Had," James corrected, and his voice went soft. "He died. Long time ago now, but it still feels like yesterday sometimes." "I'm sorry," I said, and the words felt inadequate. I wanted to reach out, to touch his arm, to offer some kind of comfort, but I kept my hands to myself. "It's why I'm here, actually," James continued, "working with elderly people. After Danny died, my mom kinda shut down for a while. It was his best friend who helped her through it. This guy, Marcus, who just showed up every day, sat with her, listened to her cry. He didn't try to fix anything, he was just there." The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. "Marcus, Danny." My mouth was dry. "What happened to him, the friend?" "He disappeared." James's voice carried an old hurt. "Right after the funeral. Just stopped coming around. My mom tried to find him to thank him properly, but it was like he'd vanished. She still talks about him sometimes. Says he saved her life that summer." I couldn't breathe. The supply closet was too small, the air too thick. I remembered that summer, remembered sitting in Mrs. Rivera's kitchen while she sobbed, remembered feeling like I was drowning in guilt because Danny had died, and it was my fault. We'd been arguing, Danny and I, about something stupid, something I couldn't even remember now. He'd stormed off on his bike, angry, not paying attention. The car that hit him never even stopped. I'd gone to his house every day after, unable to stay away, unable to fix what I'd broken. And then one day I just couldn't do it anymore, couldn't look at his mother's face and see the son I'd failed. So I left, changed schools, changed everything. "Marcus," James's voice brought me back. "You look pale. You need to sit down." No, I'm fine." But I wasn't fine. Nothing was fine. I should finish my shift. I avoided him after that, stopped staying late, started leaving before he arrived. But Shady Pines wasn't that big, and our paths crossed anyway, in hallways, at the nurse's station, once in the parking lot when my car wouldn't start, and he insisted on giving me a jump. "You've been avoiding me," he said, as we waited for my battery to charge. It wasn't a question. "I've been busy." "Marcus?" The way he said my name made me look at him. Did I do something wrong? Because if I did, I want to fix it. "You didn't do anything." That was true. He'd done nothing except be Danny's brother, except look at me with those eyes that were so much like his brother's that it hurt. "Then why do I feel like you're running away from me?" "Because I am," I wanted to say. "Because every time I look at you, I see him. Because I killed your brother and you don't even know it." But what I said was, "It's complicated." "Complicated how?" He moved closer, and in the dim parking lot light, His face was all shadows and angles. Because from where I'm standing, this feels pretty simple. James, I like you, he said, and the words hung in the cold air between us. I like talking to you. I like the way you remember every resident's favorite song. I like that you cry during Mr. Hernandez's stories, even though you've heard them 100 times. I like you, Marcus, and I'm pretty sure you like me too, so what's complicated about that? Everything, I wanted to scream. Everything is complicated when I'm the reason your brother is dead. But he was looking at me with such hope, such openness, and I was so tired of running, so tired of carrying this guilt alone, so tired of being afraid. Your brother, I said quietly. Danny, I knew him. James went very still. What? We were best friends, freshman through junior year. We were inseparable. The words came faster now, like a dam breaking. That day, the day he died, we'd been fighting about something stupid. He left angry, and I didn't stop him, and then, you're that Marcus. James's voice was barely a whisper. The Marcus who helped my mom. I'm the Marcus who got your brother killed. The guilt I'd carried for 14 years came pouring out. If I hadn't argued with him, if I'd just let it go, he wouldn't have been on that road. He wouldn't have... Stop! James's hand was on my arm, firm but gentle. Marcus, stop. You didn't kill my brother. A drunk driver killed my brother. You were 17 years old. It wasn't your fault. I should have stopped him. How? You were a kid. You couldn't have known. His grip tightened. Is this why you disappeared? Why you stopped coming around? I nodded, not trusting my voice. God, Marcus. James pulled me into a hug, and I stood there stiffly, not sure what to do. My mom didn't blame you. She never blamed you. She was heartbroken when you left. She wanted to tell you it wasn't your fault, but you were gone. I couldn't face her, I said into his shoulder. I couldn't face anyone. You've been carrying this for 14 years? He pulled back to look at me, his hands on my shoulders. All this time you thought... He shook his head. We need to fix this. You need to talk to her. I can't. Yes, you can, and you will, because she deserves to know you're okay, and because you deserve to stop punishing yourself for something that wasn't your fault. It took 2 weeks before I worked up the courage. James gave me his mother's address, and I drove there on a Saturday afternoon, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. The house looked the same blue shutters, same garden where Danny and I had played basketball until the neighbors complained about the noise. Mrs. Rivera answered the door, and for a moment she just stared at me. Then her eyes filled with tears. Marcus, oh my God, Marcus! She pulled me into the house, into a hug that felt like forgiveness, and I cried. I cried for Danny, for the years I'd lost, for the guilt I'd carried. She cried too, and she told me what James had said, that it wasn't my fault, that she'd never blamed me, that she'd missed me. James arrived while we were talking, and seeing him there in his childhood home with photos of Danny on the walls felt right somehow, like pieces clicking into place. We started having dinner there every Sunday, me and James and Mrs. Rivera. She'd cook Danny's favorite foods, and we'd tell stories about him, keeping his memory alive. And slowly, the guilt that had defined me for so long began to ease. James and I grew closer. Those half-hour overlaps at work stretched longer. We started meeting for coffee before shifts, then dinner after. Then one night, after a particularly rough shift where we'd lost Mr. Hernandez, James kissed me in the parking lot, and it felt like coming home. Is this okay? He asked, his forehead against mine. Dating your best friend's brother. I think Danny would have liked it, I said, and meant it. Danny had always known, even before I did, had seen the way I looked at boys and never made it weird. He would have given you so much shit about your taste in men, though." James laughed, and the sound was beautiful. Probably. He had opinions about everything. We took it slow. Both of us were carrying things, grief, guilt, fear, but we were learning to carry them together, learning that healing isn't about forgetting. It's about integrating the pain into who you are and choosing to live anyway. I'm still at Shady Pines, not because I'm stuck, but because I realize this is where I'm supposed to be, helping people in their final chapter, making sure they feel seen, heard, valued. James is there too, working nights, and sometimes our shifts overlap for more than 30 minutes now. We've learned to bend the schedule in our favor. Mrs. Rivera is talking about selling the house, the one with too many memories. She wants something smaller, she says, but really I think she's ready to stop living in the past. We're helping her pack, me and James, and sometimes I find photos of Danny and I don't feel that crushing guilt anymore. Just a gentle sadness, just love for the friend I lost and gratitude for the people I found. Last week, James asked me to move in with him. We were in the supply closet again, restocking, and he just said it. "Move in with me. I know it's fast, but this feels right. You feel right." I said yes, because he's right. This does feel right. All of it. The job I never planned to love. The man I never expected to find. The healing I never thought I deserved. Life has a way of laughing at your plans. But sometimes, if you're lucky, it gives you something better instead. Something real. Something worth staying for. I still think about Danny. Probably always will. But now when I remember him, I also think about how he brought me to James. How even in death he was still looking out for me, still making sure I found my way home. That's the thing about love. It doesn't end. It just changes form. And sometimes, if you're brave enough to stop running, it finds you in the last place you would expect. In a nursing home, in a supply closet, in the eyes of someone who reminds you of everything you lost and everything you still have left to find. Total char count, 16,247.